Hey there, it's me Celia. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do astrology horoscopes for Scorpio season 2024. This will be a general reading for everybody, and this is the general energies to refer back to when you're wondering, like, how am I going to do, if you need clarification about your reading for your sign. Okay, so I have the general energies, and then I have the specific energies for each sign. Ideally, you would look at your rising sign and your sun sign. I feel like rising sign is a little bit more specific, but sun sign will also be helpful. I mean, you could look at your moon sign too, and honestly, you could look at any of them, to get inspiration or think outside the box, whatever. So use it as you will. I know it's different to do horoscopes for an astrology season, but that is just the way that I work with things. When the sun moves into a different sign, that is when kind of collectively as well as individually, we have an energy shift. Things change, there are new messages coming, and the energy, the mythology, the symbology held within that astrological sign, that zodiac constellation in the sky, is just full of myths and stories that are really helpful for us to reflect upon. It's like an archetype that we can work with, and it's specifically attuned to a certain time of the year. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess I would encourage you to try it if you haven't. Before I start, I should say that I kind of meditated and considered and really thought about what is the purpose of this reading. Like, obviously I just want to look at the month ahead, of this astrology season, but it has to be something more. If I can be just a tiny bit more specific, I get better information from the cards. And what came to me was that this reading, consider these cards and the energies that they hold and the messages within them as if they are helping spirits for seasonal support for Scorpio season. So that's what I heard, and I was like, what does that even mean, helping spirits of seasonal support? But I think it kind of makes sense. These are energies that we're going to work with. For instance, I'm going to do a sneak peek to Pisces. Pisces had the Devil card. So the what I was told is this is helping spirits for seasonal support. So this is going to help you. This is going to support you in this season. This isn't like something that's going to hurt you. Do you know what I mean? You can look at different cards in different ways. Like the Devil can be a card of support, basically, if you take that perspective. It's like, give me advice, and how can I be? Show me how to be. So that's, an example of how that could come through. But, in whatever needs to come will come to you. So I'm just going to put that out there. And without further ado, let's get started. So these are the general energies for Scorpio season. We have, look how dark it got. We have the Healer of Fire, Damiana, the Prospector as an oracle card, and the Moon Lenormand. So this is for everyone. The most important thing to know that stands out so much is that last month, Libra season, the general oracle card was the Prospector. So this is 2 months in a row with the same card. We still have work to do here. We still have energies that can support us on a continual basis. There's something important here. So because of that, I'm going to start with the Prospector. The Prospector is about finding glimmers. Do you know what a glimmer is? I realize I didn't explain it as good as I should have last month. So maybe that's why I got to pull it again. It's like I didn't convey the message clearly. A glimmer is the opposite of a trigger. It is within a context of working with healing trauma, working with stress, and working with bodily sensations of how stress kind of sits in the body. It's kind of from, you could say, like a polyvagal type theory But it also could be other things. It doesn't have to be, you know, therapeutic in a traditional pathological healing clinical sense. But in any case, a glimmer is a tiny moment of awe. There usually are multiple glimmers a day, multiple glimmers even an hour. They're little, tiny little sensory cues around you that feel really nice and that nourish to your, they nourish you, they nourish your spirit. And it's a cue to your nervous system that you are safe, that you are connected. From a spiritual level, it is reminding you that, like, hey, it's okay that you are embodied this lifetime. Remember, this is why you came here. You came here to feel the comfort of this blanket. You came here to feel the warmth of holding a mug of tea in your hands. You came here to get a little snuggle from an animal. You came here to see the light shining through the window. It's those little things that remind you of, like, this is why this is why I embodied. This is it. They are very small. They are not huge things. They're a tiny little collection. They're little tiny gold nuggets that we sift through in the mud, basically. Gold is malleable and it can shape. And it reminds me, and it's also somewhat of a conduit. It reminds me that we can rebuild the nervous system. We can change the brain. We can change kind of like our energy architecture. Our things can be improved and made. It makes me think of the idea of wabi-sabi, which is like, I don't know, maybe you could Google it. You could even Google glimmer or like look on Pinterest for like cute little infographics about it if you want more info. But look for wabi-sabi too. It's the idea that like something was broken, a plate was chipped, and then in the chip, gold has been laid down. So instead of a plate that was broken, the plate has now become even more valuable because it was broken. So you put the value and the preciousness and the worth into the spot that was broken. So yes, this is my wabi-sabi gold nuggets within the mud glimmer card. That makes me think of this plate here. I have a chip in it, but it's like gold-ish. But I love that it's chipped. I don't know why. It like makes me thankful that I still have it. And instead of being sad, I was like, I can fix it and I can still love it. For some reason, since I fixed it, I love it even more. You know, it's like, I didn't throw you away. Like, you're still with me and you still add value to me. And I see even through your brokenness that you're more precious and I want to cherish you more. Not from like, I'm holding on. Not from like being greedy. Not getting caught up in the energy of a gold rush. It's more of the sensory experience of sifting through, you know, the mud to find something that's gives you a sense of hope and helps you move on. So the Healer of Fire kind of goes into that because this is a card to me that is the best way that when I feel into this card, it feels like reverse necromancy. And I know maybe that word seems creepy, but like a necromancer, you know, in the myth and so-called practice would go to a body that is dead and would use magic to extract the remainder of the life force spirit held within the bones. So you extract that life force that's held within there and then use that life force for somebody's individual purpose. You know, usually something kind of greedy. The Healer of Fire is the opposite of that. So what I see that is us living people. We are calling back our energy to ourselves. We're calling the energy, not necessarily to our bones, but like to our life force. Where have you left your energy? Where has your divine spark, your passion, your chi, really, like your vitality, where did it leave? Where was it not nourished? Where is it just sitting unattended? Throughout times, who disempowered you? It's time to claim your authority by being embodied. Be like, no, this is my life path. This is what I'm doing. This is who I am. I need that energy. And that bully or that, embarrassing situation I had, or that experience, whatever, that medical trauma I had, that financial issue, I'm not going to let that keep a part of me with it anymore. I'm going to call that back to myself. And it is an effortless calling back. Of course, it takes work. I'm not really talking about doing like a full-on soul retrieval or something like you're healing intense trauma wounds, that take a lot of time and effort. This is lighter because it is natural. It's like, it just happens. You're a magnet for your own energy. Like, you can't help but be yourself fully. The healer of fire energy is like, it doesn't even occur to you to second guess the thought that you are beholden to anybody or anything. You can do as you please, and you can just hold your energy because it's yours. That's just the way it is. And so that helps like bring in things that were really disempowering to you, like the energy that those disempowering situations had, like you can have that energy released and brought back to you. It's like a rehoming of your divine spark. Okay, then we have the moon. So the moon is always about emotions because it's ebb and flow of the tide. But what I'm really feeling this month in Scorpio season is that there is a sense of creativity through discovering, touching in, listening to, tangoing with the hidden parts of ourselves that are wanting to be discovered. With the moon, there is a secret wish for something about you, or just you, to be witnessed, to be heard, to be seen. And there's a part of you that is demanding, isn't the right word. You're asking to be validated because it's just right. It's not about being extroverted like the star. It's not about seeking fame or celebrity or power. It's just that you don't want to be invisible anymore. This really is about being seen and heard to a certain extent. And it also could be that you are seeing and hearing and witnessing and validating parts of yourself, particularly around creativity. I'm really feeling that. There's also an emotional part, and there's something about like inspiration. There's something in the rediscovery and validating of parts of yourself that I think are going to be really important this month. So putting these cards together, we're finding glimmers. We are doing like a wabi-sabi of our life and situations where reclaiming like value and worth, and honoring like the things that make our nervous system feel nice. The sensory things. It's like a sensory bath almost. We're calling our energy back to ourselves, and through that there's going to be the moon is going to help you understand where you need to call that energy back to yourself, because the moon will tell you, what about this? Remember you wanted to do this thing? Like, you wanted to feel this way, you wanted to do this, you had this dream, you had this hope, you had this inspiration. We feel sad about it. Follow those emotions of where you feel regretful and resentful and grief and unseen and unheard and invalidated. That will lead you to some sort of level of inspiration and creativity of like, I wanted things to be different. I lost some energy in that process. I want to call that energy back to myself, and then noticing the tone and function of my nervous system will help me heal from those situations which held me back. And in return, my energy will be brought to me, and I'll be living more fully in my sense of purpose and my sense of passion and just being more embodied. This is the card of the spirit being fully embodied in the body. Like, that's it. This is the divine spark right here. This is like the king of fire. This is the king of kings. It has the most authority. You know, you can be on a feeding tube. You can be on a respirator. And you can, I don't know what. But like, yeah, you're eating, you're drinking, and you're breathing. But that doesn't mean you're necessarily living life fully. Like there's more to being alive than just having the biological happenings going on. We need to connect to who we are and have a sense of meaning. And this card is going to support us in that journey. And I just keep hearing like be a magnet for your own energy. So these cards for the general reading are going to be clarifiers for all the other cards. Okay, my dear Aries. Aries rising, Aries sun, Aries moon. We have the Two of Waters, Mallow reversed, the Navigator, and the Coffin. So right off the bat, I see that there was some sort of loss. There could have been a breakup, like literally a breakup. Some sort of thing that you were cut off from or you cut out. It could literally be a death. More so with the Coffin, I'm thinking the Coffin is like, yeah, it could be literally something died. It could be that you got laid off. It could be that somebody stopped being friends with you. But a little bit more than that, like maybe 60% of the card, the Coffin is more about forcing you to seek closure and move forward from things that have been causing you pain and holding you back. So a little bit more often, I'm seeing that this card is pushing you to make closure. Sometimes life does the closure for you. Like I said, you could have been laid off. But also, it could be that you are like, this job, I cannot do it anymore. It's killing me. I'm forced to somehow move on, cut ties, and try to find my way forward in a new direction. So that's the general theme for this card. Let me think about some of these a little bit more. So the Two of Waters, Mallow. When this card is reversed, I just feel incredibly damp, cold, boggy type energy. Generally, you could think of this as like the dark side of romantic love. You could be stuck in limerence. There could be somebody who's limerencing over you. There could be possessiveness or codependentness. That might be true. I'm feeling more on a kind of personal level with yourself as opposed to another person, although it could be a toxic situation you're in where you need to leave. So I think maybe it's okay. So let me just say the personal sort of things. I feel like this card is about realizing that like a relationship doesn't define you, or a job, or whatever it is that you were connected to. It's a reminder not to lose yourself in a partnership. There has been maybe some time where you were too soft, and now you need to draw a line and get a little bit detached. Okay, this maybe is what I was thinking on the personal level, is that some of us are a little bit too like overly relating to people on an emotional level. This could be on a collective level, like thinking too much about the news or the election. Basically, it's like, I feel like we need to work, some of us need to work on our empath borders and boundaries. Like too much stuff is getting in. There's like too much leakiness happening on that level. So that's looking a little bit deeper at the Two of Water, Mallow. The Navigator is like, there's a lot in your hands. You got a lot to do. You feel like maybe you can't do it. Stress and overwhelm are going to be like, like, what do I do? How do I go? That is normal. There's going to be change anxiety. There's going to be unknowns. There's going to be things you can't control. But honestly, nothing lasts forever. You're going to have to keep going forward. And yes, it will be hard. You can weather the turmoil because it looks as if the path of your life, steering your life, is all in your hands. But, you know, there is another sense of like intuition and guidance, because she has that extra third eye there of like, yes, my hands and I am guiding what direction I take, but there's something higher that guides me and I'm being looked out after. Basically, this is a card that's saying, I'm sorry, it sucks, but you really do have to step up and take the helm of your own life. And the coffin I already talked about, but it's just about an ending. It could be an emotional or spiritual ending. You know, it's sorry, but you have to move on. This is a card of finality. So I think you have been through something. And this leaves me feeling like, oh man, well, what are we going to do about like moving on after a breakup or something emotional and feeling uncertain about the change that we have to do? And, you know, and again, I would just look back to these cards in the beginning, like finding the glimmers, calling your energy back and listening to your emotions and your creative deaths. I heard things that you lost creatively. And that will help you integrate kind of the lessons that you have within this loss. But I'm hearing that it will take kind of a long time, at least a few months, but that's normal, you know, like we don't want to rush grief. Okay, hello dear Taurus rising, Taurus sun, Taurus moon. We have here the gunsmith, the nine of air pomegranate, and the heart. The gunsmith is like working with what you have to you can work with resources and make a lot out of that. You do have the knowledge and skills and tools, but the thing about the gunsmith is that this is not a card of manifesting new or like going out and buying a whole new set of tools. This is not about acquiring new knowledge. I mean, of course, you're gonna get some new knowledge, but for instance, instead of moving to a new house, this is the time to redecorate your house with what you have or make repairs. Instead of buying a new tarot deck, it's time to look at the tarot decks you already have. And it's not to keep you limited. It's because the gunsmith is about going deeper with what you have. You got to think outside the box and use what you have because you have it all. And through using what you have is where most growth will come from. The nine of air pomegranates, this is a kind of a tough card. I feel a sense of grief, heaviness, guilt, worry. You can't hurry your heartaches to heal. You cannot hurry stress. You can't hurry getting over like a new diagnosis or a new challenge that you have. It's going to take some time. However, okay, and that's because pomegranates need to ripen on the tree. So they need to be perfectly ripe and then picked. You can't pick a whole bunch of pomegranates and then they'll ripen a few months later. So timing is really a big part of this. You cannot hurry it, whatever you're going through. And the story of pomegranate is, you know, super potent here. Like Demeter losing her daughter, Kore, to the underworld. Hades took her and she lived there. And then finally she ate the pomegranate seeds. And at that time she became, you know, queen of the underworld for half the world. And Persephone's was her new name, and I think it means something like she who brings doom. And really it was like a metaphor for how winter kills things, because it was like an eternal summer, spring, forever. And then when she went to the underworld, it became winter forever. And so she would live in the underworld for half the year and come up into the regular world for the other half of the year. And that's why we have seasons in a way. But pomegranates are like, they're super healing and really potent. As much as I hate like the pomegranate marketing board and like, oh, we're so great. Honestly, pomegranates are pretty amazing. So there is a great amount of like a healing balm, I heard. There is, I hate to glorify pain because so much of it is preventable, but the pain can be a path to wisdom. Within the wound that's where the healing can occur. It's like the alchemical cauldron for healing happens when you have a wound, wherever that is. Pain and healing are together. Sadly, they're intertwined, you know. Like inflammation is healing in a way. It can just be really hard to navigate between those worlds of like, I should be better than I should be. Like pomegranate, 9 of air makes me think that we're sitting with a lot of what if scenarios. And that's not to say that your worries and your crises and losses and things are not real. It's not saying that they're all in your head. It's just that like some of it can be, how are we going to work with this? It's just showing like some of these extra worries and what if scenarios are showing us that we need extra support. We need to feel like we have the sacred space and time for reflection, and that we have compassion for that healing. It requires a certain level of self-honesty. And sometimes that self-honesty is like, hey, I need help. Okay, I need support. I'm feeling really bad. There's a certain level of validating how you're feeling. Yeah, we're going to have to step up and work with the management of these fears. Because some of them are excess. It's like you have your legitimate fears, and then you have the fears that are kind of like habits. And that is no guilt, no shame. I totally get that. That's just the way it is, you know. It's like it sucks. It sucks when your life is hard and then you can't sleep at night because you're thinking about how life is so hard. It's like you need a respite. It doesn't seem fair that you're worrying about these things above and beyond. With the energy of the pomegranate, there has to be some level of, I'm in the underworld half the time, I'm in the regular world the other time. So we do need to take whatever steps it needs to be to try to get the level of support and care and healing we need from ourselves and from other people. We need to manage those extra fears, literally so they don't keep us up at night. And so if that's not you, like if you're not a nighttime worrier, then can be the fact that those fears can hold you back from living your life. So yeah, that feels pretty heavy, but the gunsmith is reminding me like, okay, we have everything we need. We just need to manage it a little bit better. And then the heart is saying that this wound is on the heart level. You know, it could be about love and romance for sure. But generally, I'm feeling that the heart here is about like your sense of emotional security and personal fulfillment. If you're not in a relationship that needs work, or if you're not single looking for love, I mean, that could come through for you if you've been looking for love. That this is like a sign that it could happen. It might be a little tenuous to form those new connections, to form those new loving bonds, but there's a possibility. But for most people, I'm hearing that this is more about tending to your, like, part of this wound is something about your heart's desires and your ability to connect, and something about loving bonds being kind of demolished at some point. But you do have the skills to move on from them and to cope and manage those. And having the heart here shows that, like, yeah, you are on the healing process. You will get better. You are doing everything perfectly within your power. It just kind of sucks, but just keep putting the pieces together one by one, making a daily practice, a 9-to-5 healing job, which seems like super overwhelming. Why do I have to heal so much? But it will pay off. You are in a very therapeutic healing process, is what I heard. Okay, Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini moon, or whoever wants to hear this. We have the Highwayman, 3 of earth, raspberry, and the letter. So the 3 of earth, you got a lot of raspberries here to deal with. You got 3 baskets. You have these huge fields. It's your responsibility to manage the work set out for you. You can do it. You're highly skilled at what you do. You have all the training you need. You have the dedication. You have the resolve and wherewithal and physical capabilities to do everything you need. You probably, through your dedication to managing your harvests, you are probably going to have to ask for help. That's just part of the game. You can't work at things alone. You could try to harvest all these by yourself. It's going to take a long time. You could try to bring all of these 3 baskets in at once, but honestly, if somebody else could help you, it would be a lot better. You could try to make them all into jellies and jams all by yourself. everything is going to be easier with friends, and people are going to want to help you. That's the thing. This is a project or a time of your life that people do want to hang out with you while you do your thing. There are people who would love to be a part of your team. There are people who would love to hear what you have to say or share in the workload. I'm hearing people being like, yes, please, like, please ask me to help you. I would love to learn how to make jelly or whatever it is. Like, help is there and you're going to have to ask for it. That's just part of managing your harvest. Highwayman is a card of asking for what you're worth and getting paid for what you're worth. That's the first thing that comes to mind. If you're not in a situation where you have things to offer or you're selling things or whatever, or you're not getting paid, then this is about knowing the rules of the road. And it's like, this is just the way it is in this relationship, in this dynamic. Things are reciprocal. That's just the natural order. Like, I get my fair share, you get your fair share. I get my share on time, you get your share on time. Just about asking for what you are worth in the most normal, natural way. This being a card of work and having the highwayman here, it could be that some of you need to ask for a raise or need to send out invoices for people that haven't paid you yet. Yeah, follow up with like bills and things that aren't right. And I think that you're going to get ahead. And we have the letter here. That could literally be that you send out an invoice to get paid. The letter is something that is like a deliberate written communication. Not so much social media. It's not chit-chattering. It's not texting. It's more like emails, important documents, letters, written communication. It could be a declaration. It's something that like there's an anticipated response regarding it. It is a little bit longer than like a text. It's something that is more personal, more thought out, and sent with an intention. I know that's not going to work for everybody, but I'm hearing that's the metaphor. You need to get paid. You need to ask formally for the money that you should have regarding your hard work. Like, that's that. Hello, dear Cancers. Cancer rising, Cancer sun, Cancer moon. So, first of all, you're right on path. Don't worry about thinking that you're not where you should be. You totally are where you should be. But I hear that the tables are turning somehow, and your path looks different than other people. But regardless, don't think that like, I should have been married by now. I should be having a house by now. I should be making more money than now. And that is so effing true. Like, there should be a lot of things that are different in our world. Like, there's so many problems with loneliness and disconnection, and financially it's getting harder and harder to live. And that is true. Regardless, that does not diminish your self-worth. Like, problems with the economy, problems with loneliness, problems with your day-to-day life and situation do not diminish the fact that you are exactly where you need to be. Now, it doesn't mean you don't want to change things, but the anchor is about like stability, security, permanence. It is a ship that dropped into harbor after a super long journey. Like, finally, you're safe, you're sound, you're grounded, you're secure. It's a sense of permanence. I think some of you have been floating around and now you're starting to feel stable, and it's like, oh no, what if this is it? What if this is my life and I don't really want that? It can be hard to get a sense of stability when things are still not necessarily fair or what you want in your life. But when it comes to being safe and secure, you don't have to doubt that. It doesn't mean you can't try other things and like improve your circumstances. The anchor is kind of about, don't like jump into things. It's about being risk averse. And if you get red flags about people, like let's say you really want to be married and you're like, okay, I should date more, whatever. And if you keep getting red flags from people and you are like, well, maybe I should try harder, maybe I should just be more open, this is actually saying, no, we don't want you to jump into things that are not good for you and that you're not prepared of. There is a little bit of a protective energy now. It can feel like you are being weighed down. But I'm telling you, at least for now, it's for your own good. I mean, of course, don't like This isn't to say you can't like date or like try new things or move around right now. That's not what this is saying. Like, definitely keep traveling and doing stuff, but don't feel bad about it, basically. Like, don't define your worth by the circumstances around you. That's what I'm getting for now. So the Six of Air cattail reversed. So cattails are so interesting. Each of these like cattail seed pods are full of like thousands of seeds. If you take your finger and just run it on a cattail, it's just full of like these seeds. It's so profuse, and they're wind pollinated. So there's a certain level of like hope and trust, and depending on, honestly, like the spiritual realm, you know, on a energetic standpoint, like, I don't know where this seed is going to go. I'm just going to trust that if I put enough out there, it will be, you know, held and receptive and take root somewhere. Having this card be reversed is showing me that there's a little bit of trouble with like how you feel like you're being heard. It seems like maybe some of you are like kind of desperate, like praying and pleading and really wanting things to change, wanting help. And it's as if your prayer requests are falling on deaf ears. It's kind of like having a crisis of faith. Like, I used to believe in this and now I don't. Like, I used to feel God or whatever it is, my higher self. I used to feel things and now I'm not feeling them. It's like an emptiness. And I can feel that. It feels sad. I know that prayer can be a hard thing because a lot of us have religious trauma and whatever, but prayer is not just the realm of, you know, a certain religion or something. Like, anybody can pray. And if you're interested in working with the energy of prayer, I would suggest the work of Caroline Myss. Caroline Myss can be a little bit bitchy. She has some problems with her delivery sometimes. She definitely has, you know, been kind of like mean. I'm not going to lie. But I still very much like parts of her work. I'm able to read it and listen to it and not worship her and still like her stuff. But I do respect a lot of what she said as well. You know, like, both can be true. But she has a lot of amazing stories about prayer. I mean, she has a book about prayer. She has stories of like where she has like come in contact with like her angels or like her guides and stuff. And it was like, I prayed for you for so long and you never answered. And then her angels or guides show prayers that she had that were written down in a book and being like, we heard every single one. We're always listening. I'm getting tears in my eyes when I talk about that. And then there are like situations where she hears other people talk about prayers. Like, there was this woman, oh my God, I'm going to tell the story. I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry. There was somebody who was in a car accident, and this woman in the car accident like left her body. She was floating up above the scene. She was like basically on death's door in like a near death experience sort of thing. And while she was up there, she could hear all the people in the cars on this busy highway being like, oh my God, I'm going to be late to work. What now? Oh my God, like, who did this? Oh, these stupid people can't drive, blah, blah, blah. And then in the cacophony of people complaining about the inconvenience of a car crash that she was dead in, almost, she heard somebody say like, oh my God, whoever's in that car, I hope that they are doing well. And like, you know, please help them be surrounded and like healed and protected and whatever. Like, somebody was praying for them. And it lit up. She could see that car with that person in it lighting up. In her near-death experience, she went down and looked at that person's driver's license number, kept the license plate number, kept it in her mind. She, you know, went in and out of surgery and whatever. Eventually she came well enough, like months later. She looked up that person's driver's license number and brought them flowers at their house and was like, did you pray for me? Did you pray for somebody in a car accident? Because I heard that, and that was one of the things that kept me in my body, and I just want to say thank you. So like, our prayers are heard. It's just that we don't hear them in the way that we are taught in freaking Hollywood, you know? Like, you don't literally see an angel being like, yes, I heard your prayer. You know, we've been kind of led astray to what it is to really communicate with the divine. And if you're Atheist, I would say this is your higher self or your life's purpose or your sense of meaning. It might even be that if you're not atheist, whatever. But wow, that was a lot that had to come out. But anyways, just keep on documenting your devotions and your prayer requests. It's okay to work with holy helpers. I don't know what that is, but it's hard right now. But I still feel like it's necessary for you to keep asking for spiritual help, whatever that is. And then, on another level, this is a very mundane card about the internet. So if there's something you need to do to disconnect from the internet, that's something else too. Okay, the Mountain Woman is very independent, obviously, and it seems like this is somebody who exited society. They stepped out of capitalism and now they're self-reliant. But this isn't about stark individualism, being super, what's it called? Like stoic, nothing like that. This is about being in a relationship with the land and living more in like an ecosystem type way. Like she's not alone. She's part of the ecosystem. And it can be really hard to trust yourself when you're on your own. Some of you may be on your own for reasons that you did not predict or that you don't like. And doubt can eat away at you. But with this card, I always see that the reality of the situation is that you're doing incredibly well. It's just that sometimes when you're alone, you don't get the validation that other people get. Like you're just not seen on like an interpersonal level. Especially with this Six of Air reversed. Makes me think that like maybe some of you are stepping away from social media and that can be kind of lonely in a way. But in reality, you can do it and you have the freedom to go your own way and to step out on your own. Yeah, there's a lot going on with Cancer. Sorry, I just really went into this. I felt like the divine ferryman energy of like, I can be your bridge over troubled waters, but you're going to have to trust me even though you feel nothing. And honestly, I even am seeing that for some people who aren't going through a spiritual crisis, there is something about being online that is not working for you. Like I'm seeing people scrolling and being like, there's nothing here for me. And having this card here too makes me think that there's like, oh yeah, and social media can make you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be. But the strength here is to rely on the land and, express yourself. The Six of Air is about like writing and talking, and it's about totally being creatively expressive. So I don't know if that's just writing in a journal, writing those prayer requests, like I said, but even doing something a little slower, like blogging or writing a book or being in a real life, group. Yeah, I got a good kind of tingle with that. So, hey, my dear Leos. So we have the Sheriff, the Emperor reversed, Hemlock, and the Fish. So with the Emperor reverse, I'm seeing that you're turning over the table. There's like a table that was like, this is how you do things. This is how you work with us. This is how you are. And you're like, no, it's not. I'm not following your rules anymore. I'm not playing your games anymore. This is not a system that I want to work in. You really are upending the table. Is that what it's called? Upturning the table. The tables are turning as well. So what you thought was a reliable scaffolding for you, a reliable structure, is no longer reliable for you. You thought that you had to do certain things to exist in a certain kind of space or something, and that's no longer true. So this is really, things are being turned on its head. I know that's like a hangman metaphor, but things are being turned upside down, I should say. With the Sheriff, this is about standing up for things that you think are right, even when people don't agree with you. It's hard for you to have your voice, but your values and beliefs are really important to you. On another level, this could be about being really accountable to yourself and being like, yeah, I made mistakes. I am sorry. This always makes me think of a confessional booth back here, where this is where you spill your guts of like, I did this and I shouldn't have. And again, I always see these as like Instagram posts or something, Facebook posts. And it's somehow like coming clean and being very authentic. It's hard to be in integrity when you're alone. With the sheriff, I do feel that people do secretly feel inspired by you speaking up. And it will just be over time that you will be upheld. The fish here is about having a good return on your investment, having something work out. It could be that you're starting to invest in something, some sort of long-term work that will pay off in the future, or you're reaping the benefits of having had done that for a long time. So this is not a sudden windfall. This is not about getting inheritance or striking it rich. This is about business success slowly building over time. This is garnering interest 1 percentage point at a time. There's a lot of tropes with the fish, like, fishes and loaves story, that abundance can multiply. And it's about giving back and give somebody a fish they eat for a day, teach somebody how to fish they eat for a lifetime or whatever. That sort of stuff is really important here. It's a certain stick it to itness. So I feel like there is some sort of maybe you thought you had to do your work or your stability a certain way, but you're trying something new, possibly on the internet, but you have to be extremely honest, and it's value driven. It's your integrity is driving it. You may be the only one that's talking about these things or doing your work or expression or your art in a certain way. And it's lonely. It's kind of lonely there. Not a lot of people are paying attention because it's out of the box. And you're kind of going against the grain in a way. By you doing things different, people kind of think that you're anti something else. Because part of the sheriff is you're kind of the bad cop. And I'm letting myself be value driven and I'm standing up for what I believe. And people don't necessarily like that. They want to keep doing what they do with no consequence. But it's going to pay off. So I would keep at it. Hello, Virgos. We have Henchman, Healer of Earth, Reverse, Sweetgrass, and the Key. So what do we want to start with? The Henchman is you got to find your crew. This could be two things. First of all, you have a good crew and they're very important to you. So if you want to have a clothing exchange or a craft party, stitch and bitch, or a potluck, or you want to go somewhere, or you're at work and you're going to be a part of a team, I would say all of that is really good things to invest in. Anything that's teamwork is very good right now. It could be good friends. It could be people that you work with. Either way. And remember, the acronym for team is together, everyone achieves more. So I'm feeling it is that closeness and bonds with other people is very important right now. If you don't have it, it is time to do it, my dear Virgos. So nurture relationships, call in friendships. And how you do that is by thinking about the good things about friendships and what it feels like to be with a team. And to get out of the woe is me type energy, which can be hard when you're lonely. It's a very desperate feeling. Yeah, these are people you want to be joined at the hip with somebody or a group of people. And this is positive towards that, either bringing it in or keeping to work with it. So that is a good theme going on. Even if you are lonely, I think there's a potential to have more friends and team type experiences. So we have the Healer of Earth reversed. You are not in a space right now during this season to give freely and to offer a whole bunch of stuff. This is a time instead where you go to the earth and ask for help. You ask for assistance, and I see people like literally laying down in this area of sweetgrass and feeling like crying a whole bunch. So you're releasing a lot to the earth. And then secondly, you're practicing feeling held by the earth. Both of those things are important, but there's something about like you don't have a lot to give, and it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's just that you have to be in a season where like you have to fill yourself up in order to renew your gifts. You're not ready to make sweetgrass braids and sell them. No, you need to go and get resourced. And it's hard because when you lay down on the earth and ask to be held, what comes up? Abandonment wounds of like, I haven't been held. I haven't had that sweet feeling of like, you know, the best of being held by the earth is like after I had my first kid, I was like, man, I wish I could feel like this as an adult. Like, what must it be like to like snuggle into somebody that's so huge and they can just hold you in your arms and like you feel weightless and supported and it's all warm and you're right next to their heart, and it's like, it's so rare for adults. Like, yeah, you can snuggle with somebody and that does feel good, and you can snuggle with animals and you can snuggle under blankets, but like, I wish I could just be really, really held like this. And right when I was reflecting about that, it's like my helping spirits and intuition was like, that's what it's like when you lie on the earth. That's what we do to you. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. Like, you lay down in the grass and the earth is giving you energy. And it's like this tending and nurturing, and it's like you belong here, and you're like, you know, you are a precious divine child that like the earth will always nourish, and you just feel that sense of deep connection. So I feel like you're being called to do that, not because you lack the ability to give or you're not resourced enough. It's just you need to fill that up. So there's that. And the key is just showing like that's the key to your success. That whatever you're working on, you need to fill up yourself from the earth and then connect to some peers, basically. Like, you need that sense of being held, to kind of, being held, and then having friends. The key is like a certain je ne sais quoi, or like, it's just the way that you are. It's like your MO, but in a really good way. It's the secret ingredient. It's the magic formula. Yeah, I'm seeing, oh my gosh, I just saw like a lock with like how the key goes inside of the lock, and like the lock is like each part of the key fills up a certain part of the lock. One part of the key to your happiness, success, vitality, your purpose in life is going to be filled by friendships. Another part of that key lock situation is going to be filled by being held by the earth, and honestly working on attachment wounds from like pre-verbal times. Like, you might even have to rebirth yourself, and I feel so embarrassed to say that because it's so woo and probably going to turn a lot of people away, but I'm feeling like there's something in the body, because this is the healer of earth. This is about your health and your wealth and your body. So I don't know if you do rebirthing work or whatever, there's something there that like you can easily listen to and work with. And those are going to look at like the How Things Work book. If you just Google that and look at the key, it shows like in great detail how each one of these little parts of the key fits inside of the notches in the lock. And once you get those kind of in place, you're going to be going on to the next quest in your life. Okay, Libra rising, Libra sun, Libra moon. We have Nine of Earth apple, the clones, and the ways. So you do have a decision to make, and you had 2 decision cards here. The clones is a reminder to keep iterating. Nothing is set in stone. Even these clones who came out of these like pods, they look exactly the same. They were programmed exactly the same. But honestly, the second they come out, this one's looking up and this one's looking down. Already, they're gathering completely different types of information. They're having different experiences, and it's shaping the whole trajectory of their life, even exactly the same people are going to be thinking differently. And that is kind of the divine paradox that Libra is going to be holding right now. You're going to be holding opposing ideas and thoughts. You're going to have complex emotions happening. And really, you're going to need the space and time to sit with decisions. You got to stay open and receptive. You're not going to get a really good answer to which way you need to go. You have to make a decision. You are making the path of your life forward right now, but like you can't make it today or by the end of Scorpio season. It is slowly unfolding like where you're going to be. This isn't just like flip a coin and take a direction. You have been kind of creating these different timelines and trajectories for you. I don't know if you do timeline work. I personally haven't done future timeline work. I have worked with time, going back in time quite a bit. But I'm feeling like, yeah, looking at different timelines or just even considering various options, almost in like a gamified way, like choose your own adventure sort of things. And there are going to be lots of different endings in your choosing your own adventure type book if you were to write it right now. Like, I could do this and it would lead me there. I could do this, it would lead me to there. So I'm sorry to say, Libras, you already have a hard time making decisions. You already have a hard time. You can see both sides. And eventually you will come around to a decision, or you will take a stake in the sand and be like, this is what I'm doing. You will make a declaration. But for now, it's unfolding, and it's going to be just a constant iteration. What if I try this? What if I did this? I am going to try this. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to think about what if I do this. And I'm going to table that. So this is a time of spitballing. I'm sorry to say that, yeah, you feel pressured to make a choice. It's not going to happen right now. We have the Nine of Earth. This, I'm really drawn to a totally different direction. Let's see how it ties in. I'm feeling, I think the apple's rotten right to the core. Like that Charlie XCX song. And then I'm also thinking of, yeah, the idea of like the rotten apple. And that brings me back to this idea of like inherent evil, or like the original sin, or like witch wounds, and yeah, working through like divine feminine and yin healing work. It's like a sign of Venus, this 5-pointed star in the middle. Apple is a rose family plant, and roses are the plant of Venus. And Venus takes a 5-petaled rose shape through the sky. If you look at the path of Venus in the sky, it perfectly makes a rose shape in the way that it flows. There is some kind of, yeah, like feminine wounding, and that's regardless of how you identify, because everybody has a masculine and a feminine side to them. It could be a lot of, I just heard self-inflicting. So there might be some sort of belief systems that you are holding about what it means to be feminine, like how you express that. I'm also hearing the song Past the Mission from Tori Amos, which is kind of cryptic, as all Tori Amos lyrics are. But according to the video and a little bit of information she's leaked about it, like when people ask, it is about like just the idea that within a church perspective, women are evil simply for existing. And the reason that they're evil is because they tempt men, you know. And so there's kind of like some internalized misogyny in a way. Now, if you don't really feel that way, like that's totally fine. I just is coming through to work with like the witch wound, whatever that means to you. Okay, so if that isn't something you're working on, I would say that the Eight of Earth is a kind of a conflicting card for me right now in this reading, because it's about like you've done a lot on your own, but reciprocity is the key to sustainability. You can sustain yourself on your own, but there is a need to get out of your shell and share. Yes, you can have Apple products to last you for a whole season if stored properly, but there is a certain level that you have to give back to the community. It's kind of a card of like being lonely, but maybe that can change into being alone, pushing yourself to give a little bit. I'm also seeing that the star in the apple is a star of hope, and it reminds me of like the star in like the Christmas song, like a star dancing in the light, it will bring us goodness and light. Like, if it's hard for you to share what you have, like let's say you have certain gifts or skills or things you want to offer for your business or your work or something, if it's really hard for you to share that because you have social anxiety or you don't know a lot of people or it's just hard, whatever the reason is, you're isolated, you don't have a lot of resources or energy, if you are like, man, I can't just do this on my own, I need to have somebody to share this with. I made a zine, I want to sell it to people, I want to have a workshop where I can be a leader. I'm feeling like you're pushed into like a place where you can offer all that you've worked on, but there's a hesitation about being seen because it's very vulnerable. And maybe it's tied into like these ideas of femininity, like women shouldn't speak. Or maybe you were bullied for like being too much or too loud or something, where it became more safe to be in a retreat mode. But if that's the case, and you still want to offer something, but you're nervous to be put out there because it's vulnerable, tune into your sense of direction, your sense of meaning, and have some guiding principles. So therefore, it's no longer about you. It's about what you have to share. It's about sharing the abundance of apples, not about your performance, your performative showing up in your field. Okay, so what do we have here? Oh, yeah. Okay. You're just going to oh. If you could be a little bit more definitive and like put yourself out there, your direction could easily, like a choice that you have to make could easily be more defined. But this is going to be a slow process of kind of getting you out of your shell. And if you're extroverted and you're like, what do you mean? I have a business and I offer my stuff all the time and I'm always on social media. I'm always expressing myself. I always have classes and it's no problem. There's something that you want to do that's deeper that you're not talking about. You're skimming on the surface. Like you want to talk. There's something else for you to give. There's a deeper message. You've been neutral a little bit too long. It's time to put it out there. And again, being mission driven or like value focused of like that is going to help you and not make it about you. Okay, so there you go, Libras. Good luck. Hello, Scorpios. Rising, sun, moon. We have the Time Traveler, the book, and the Chariot reversed. So cedar is, has been used to make canoes. So it's like a plant of travel, but it's reversed. I don't think you're doing a travel. I don't think you're moving forward in life. This is not about getting a new job or like moving somewhere, going on a trip, or like saying yes to something. This is not about anything in the real, everyday 3D world. This is about traveling through time and getting to some body of knowledge that you need to work on. So before you can move forward with your journey, you actually need to go back and tend to some things that are written on your body, tend to some things that are like secrets in your diary. You need to tend to learning a manual of how am I going to work with something that's holding me back. If you do shamanic journeying, this is telling me to do that, because the cedar tree is an incredible communicator between heaven and earth and used for tons of spiritual purposes. But if you don't, you can learn that very easily on YouTube or like look at books and stuff. But yeah, it could be a metaphorical journey, or it could be a journey that you do otherwise. But honestly, this is about journeying, like literally as well. Yeah, the book is really calling out to me. Basically, the book is like any and all kinds of knowledge and learning. Could be academia, you could be going to school, and maybe you're learning history about ethnobotany. Like, that would be the most like literal definition of this. But it also could be that you're learning like a manual. Like, it could be like learning tarot, or like learning a cosmology, learning about like the tree of life, or like a certain mythology. I'm seeing like Norse mythology and like the tree of life and the rainbow bridge. What was the tree called? Was it called like Yggdrasil or something? Could be a new hobby. History, if you're not into spiritual work right now, you don't need to like work with things from the past to heal. If you don't have a lot of stress to deal with or trauma stored in the body, I would say this is about working with like, I'm seeing like a new knowledge field or a skill set. It could also just be about soul searching through a new knowledge field or skill set, like learning astrology. This almost looks like an astrology wheel. And the time traveler, it is an adventure, it's fun. She's having fun. She's running away from these people who are after her. She pushes the button, boom. It's like a joy. It is almost like an alternate reality, or like the imaginal realm. I think whatever it is, even if it is going to school, even if it is learning history, there is a certain level of fun within it, adventure that's calling your name. You're getting a fresh perspective. Mythology is really coming out to me. I don't know if you want to visit mythology, but maybe tree mythology, or like the tree of life or something is coming through. And I even heard Bible study. I can't imagine that people do Bible study would listen to me, but like that just came through because of the evergreen tree, and like, I don't know what that is. I mean, you can study religion in regardless of what you feel. But anyways, there is going to be a revisiting of the past, looking into the knowledge you find there, and reclaiming who you are. And you need to do that before you can move forward in other areas of your life. Okay, dear Sagittarius, we have the Ace of Earth, Nettles reversed, the Engineer, and the Whip. Yeah, I'm getting a really straightforward answer here. So with the Ace of Earth, you really need to let go of this shoulda, woulda, coulda about where you thought you would be regarding your finances, your career, your job, society even. I feel like there's collective issues, like the economy and corporate greed and things are really coming in of like, I should not be here. This is your fault. This is not good. And that is true. But there is a certain level of needing to let go and surrendering the ideas of the way that you thought things would be. Like, I should be further ahead by now. This shouldn't be happening. And it's not that those aren't valid. It's that you just need a fresh start, and you need to unburden yourself. The Ace of Earth is like, you are not ready. Like, you no longer need to carry that weight. Don't carry the weight of all the financial stress. It could also be about your health or your body. Yes, it totally sucks, but at least for like 5 minutes, just get going to be like, I'm going to just pretend like I'm unburdening myself from having to physically carry that weight on my shoulders, in my nervous system, in my dreams, on my face. Everything I do, it sucks, but I'm just going to practice letting it go for a brief amount of time to unload yourself. It's like way too much stress and pressure. You're under way too much pressure, especially in the financial health realm. Engineer and the Whip is like, you're getting down to business. I think you can work through those feelings of loss of like, this shouldn't be happening. I should be further along. I think you can work through them. It is a big stress. So the whip is like, you have been hurt for sure. There have been arguments, financial arguments, pressure at work, pressure with your body, in the healthcare system, maybe even like medical bills. Whatever it is, tensions are very, very, very high. There has been an imbalance of power that has been inflicted upon you. The other way to look at this is you can, to a certain regard, this is a really good time for things to get whipped into shape. If there's something you've been wanting to do regarding your financial life or your body or your health, or like make a phone call and finally be heard, or like move something around with your banking or your finances, if you've been struggling with it, the whip is going to be like, we're going to crack the whip. We're going to whip this into shape. I'm going to take care of this. And I feel like it's going to, if you get a little bit of that energy within you of like, I'm going to crack the whip and like fight back a little bit, you will be able to like finally get the bank to do something, or finally get the insurance company to do something, or finally get yourself to do something for work, or there's a larger amount of focus too. So follow those instincts. And the engineer is about getting down to business. This engineer lady is in her element when she's absolutely kind of quiet in the back parts of the ship. Like, this is her domain, and she cannot be interrupted. She cannot be part of the hyperactive hive mind. Like, this is about turning off your notifications, even maybe cutting down screens so that when you do show up for your work time, you have had plenty of time with your brain to be like rested. And I just feel like mentally you're close to blowing a fuse. But if you create some boundaries with like your friends and family, like, I need this time to work, I need this time to myself, I need to take a little vacation and a break, and it's going to help me with my focus. And if you take the time to make a boundary with your daily life, not your daily life, your tech consumption. I know I always talk about that. It's just what comes through in these cards. And plus it's a big deal nowadays. So yeah, get some uninterrupted time, both on a personal level from what you are like consuming and listening to, and then also from your like life. Like, you need the space to work on something. You need to take that time. You're under a lot of pressure. You have been perhaps even like harmed or taken advantage of, but you can fight for a little bit of justice there. Like, make the call, send the email, ask for something. It will help you. You can get ahead. And then, yeah, you're just under a lot of stress right now. A lot of financial and health stress. But I think you are working through it. And it's just going to be a process just for this month. I'm hearing like it's not going to last forever. Like, the stress that you're under now with this work is going to not burden you as much. I think because you're forced to let the burdens go. Capricorn. First thing I see is a white sage, 5 of air reversed, AI and the rider. So have you been kind of duped? Like, Capricorns are not easy to dupe. I think somebody tried to like pull one over on you, and not even just you. I think you're seeing through like scams. I think you're seeing, I just heard the TikTokification, like how everything is like being sold, and there are some structures, especially within the like personal development, health, wellness, spiritual, mental health realm, because this 5 of air white sage is a very spiritual card. So it kind of reminds me of like when it's reversed, it's like too much spiritual materialism. This could be like pyramid schemes of like essential oils come to mind. You are not having that. I feel like you're calling that out. You're saying no, because Capricorns are going to know when things are not on the up and up. There's a certain level of like, this is not cool. So I feel like you're making some boundaries here with what you consume, with those around you consume. I feel like this is the energy. I'm not saying this is anybody in Capricorn. Like, I'm getting that intuitively, but let me just give an example. This is the energy of somebody coming out of a cult, of like, you had me brainwashed. I'm no longer believing your bullshit. I didn't get that any Capricorn watchers would have that happening, but I just want to say that's the energy. It's like, I'm not falling for your trends. It could be something a little bit deeper, like long held beliefs that you had, you're letting those go. And instead, you're clearing the air. Too much sage just clears and clears and clears. Okay, I was taught when I use herbs for burning, for like smoke medicine or just ritual smoke medicine, is like you clear first. And so for that, I usually use bay leaves or rosemary. And then after you clear, you bring sweetness in. And usually for that, I use cedar. You have to bring in this sweetness. You kind of have burned a bunch of stuff down. You're cutting ties. You're letting people get out of your life. But you have to balance that with, you burned it down. Now you need to invite fresh energy in. You're pushing things out, and now you need to pull good energy in. So balance it with some sweetness. And basically, you've got to just make some space. And if there's been some wounding or stress happening, you have to listen to the wound, because like, this is where you were cut. Like, when you cut ties with something collectively, you're seen through a scam, you're seen through something in society that you don't like, it still is a wound that needs to be tended. And it's like, what is the medicine in the wound? Why did I have to cut ties with you? And how am I going to move forward from that? What is the healing energy of that? So that's a question that you're left with. So the AI, again, I'm feeling like a tech overload. Not even with you. I'm feeling on a societal level. I'm feeling like you don't want to stand for things. I feel like algorithms are feeding you information that is not helpful. This example is coming to mind. On YouTube, I watched a video about like how kids can't read. And it was a really good video. It wasn't hyperbolic, but it was looking at the numbers. It was like 25% of children in America are being taught from this very specific reading program from this like individual woman that like marketed this program to schools and like sold them this stuff. And it's bad. Like, kids can't read, and they're giving examples. The first thing that person said from like an academic research level, it was 25% of kids in the United States can't read. That's terrible that any kids can't read, but it does not justify it. Okay, you can be hysterical and mad and angry about that. 0% of kids should be not reading. Any percentage is not good, but people were acting like all kids can't read. No kids can read. I've never seen a child read ever. And it's like, dude, 25% is not 100%. And that's kind of coming in here. It's like you're seeing the facts. And do you know what I mean? Like, no, it's not okay that schools got duped into buying this stupid curriculum and that's harming kids. That's not okay. That's not my point. You know that's not the point. But the point is like, look at the other 75% of kids who can read and see what they're doing. How come they didn't get duped into buying this program? How can these kids using this program, how can the teachers stop doing that and refer them to another program? It's like part of the solution-based situation. So, sorry, that story had to come in. But here's the thing, is after I watch that one video, they just send me video after video after video after clickbait after clickbait after clickbait. And it is extreme that kids can't read, right? Like, I get it. But like, so much of the comment section is like, society's going down and blah, blah. And like, yeah, it is going down, I get it. But like, I don't need to take that stress on. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be wary of what's coming in. You are wary of what's coming in, this information. Okay, about AI, remember that AI is a tape recorder, at least general AI, like algorithms in particular. AI spits out information that it already has, information that's already existed, things that people have already said, and audio, videos that have already happened and been transcribed, and things that have been written. So it looks at what exists. The AI here, there is generative AI that like can think in new ways and like come up with new information. Honestly, those are not that different from computers because it's a computing machine in a way. But it's not as scary as we think. Like, just think of AI as a tape recorder. It's a glorified tape recorder. I understand. And yes, we should be wary, like I did in that example. But the thing with this AI card is like you need to get brand new, fresh information. You need a completely different perspective. You need to unplug from those algorithms that are telling you the same thing over and over and over. It is about having a dramatic change in your perspective. So if you're stuck or feeling stale, like get clarity on what you're doing, why you're doing it, what your motives are, and that will help you shake things up so you can grow, we can grow. Yeah, it's about having like a perspective outside of what AI would see. So believe it or not, not everything is on the internet. There are a lot of things that aren't. Like there are books that I have in my house that they're not on the internet. There's no way. And my husband is a computer programmer and he was telling me like, you know, we think everything, the internet is everything. It's totally not. Like books have way more. There's more information in libraries than there is on the internet. Like not every word that has ever been written is out there. It's not searchable. There's a whole other realm of information for you to tap into. So that was a big rant, but somehow that felt important for Capricorn. And then we have the Rider. So when you see the scams and are no longer kind of attached to things that don't feed you, that don't work good for you, and you step away from kind of this fear-mongering on the internet level, I think you're going to have a brand new perspective. Because the AI is about you need a new perspective. And this is like you need a breath of fresh air spiritually, mentally, on your mental health, well-being aspect. And this is like brand new energy. And I know this sounds so trite and I'm so sorry, but this is what popped in my head. I don't mean to be patronizing. I'm sorry, Capricorn. You're very smart. I do not mean to offend you. I know you know this. When I touched the Rider, it said go to the library. So there we go. Hello, my dear Aquariuses. I'm an Aquarius moon, so this reading is partially for me as well. Okay, we have the 10 of Earth, Horsetail, the Gunslinger, and the Child. So we have some innocence, some new energy, good feelings, nostalgia, belonging, being in the moment, never being bored, fun, excitement, moving your body is what is coming through. The 10 of Earth, Horsetail, this is ancients. This is connecting to not what you really consider ancestors. I mean, these are the ancient ancestors. This is like going back to the beginning. This is like considering that plants are our ancestors. Because the horsetail is an ancient plant that still is living today. At one point, horsetails were like massively tall trees. So they have this giant energy. They hold like the ancient giant feeling for me. Mundanely, it's about studying history. It's also on an everyday level. It's like what you were passed down from your family on a generational material level. So do you live in a house from your relatives? Do you have traditions that you do? Like maybe you literally have things to do with like looking at wills and going through old stuff, and like there could be really mundane things about taking care of your older relatives. But what I'm really feeling about the 10 of Earth is that you don't need to be small in order to be safe anymore. You can be as big as you want to be. You can take up as much space as you are meant to take up. You can nourish and you can multiply. So this card to me is a resource of help and safety. on a physical bodily level, this could be working with generational trauma. If you do, go way, 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 way back. There's this work from Daniel 4. I'll leave a link in the description, but it's called Ancestral Healing. I don't know what it's called. His name is Daniel 4, Foor. And he was trained in an African ancestral work modality. And he was legitimately trained and openly accepted by the healers of a certain tradition in Africa. So he wasn't just going over there and stealing information. I know that sometimes that can happen, but they really did want him to share this, and I think that's important to notice. Although some people could say, well, maybe they were forced to do it for capitalistic reasons to get ahead. But in any case, it's really good work, and if you feel compelled, there's this energy where you go down your mom's mom, your mom's dad, your dad's dad, and your dad's mom. So you go down 4 lines of ancestry, and you go all the way back to the beginning. And when you get that far back, it's just an energy or an archetype. And it's so healing because you can then take the energy from the very seed, the start, the ace of earth energy of this is what this physical generational line will hold, the energy that they have to give. It's like a template, and then you can work on healing it all the way up to you. It's just a wonderful way to receive the gifts from the ancients. And, Scorpio season is Samhain time. This is the time of the whole entire year to work with ancestors. This is it. I mean, you can work with ancestors all the time, but this is the best time by far because the veil to the other world is very much thinned. And Halloween is the kind of universal ancestor time. That's why it's all about the dead. So that came through. Let's see. The Gunslinger is about practicing your skills very, very well. Having a very good aim. This is about it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. You might need to do some tough love about applying yourself. You might need a kick in the butt to start working. And ultimately, you're going to have some boundaries in your life to hold yourself accountable. Because you are asked to prioritize your practices, your crafts, your work. And this can feel really, really overwhelming. Oh my God, I have to learn this whole thing. What do I do? It feels really big. Lean on slow productivity, which is, a phrase. Obviously, anybody can say it. But it's also a book by Cal Newport. It's the energy that you need to dedicate yourself to something over a long period of time. I'll link that down below. But this really is the card of slow productivity. But when you need to take an aim, you can. But the thing is this gunslinger is only as good as all the practice that she's done. That's why she has such a great aim, is because she's worked at it really, really hard and practiced and knows her skill inside out. We have the gift of the ancestors. I feel like the ancestors can actually help you with some sort of work that you have to do with practicing, with ritualizing and dedicating yourself to a practice. Maybe it could be dedicating yourself to this ancestral practice. And having the child here is this is brand new type of energy you're going to be bringing into your life. Now let's say that you are not into woo-woo ancestor work. I would look at the gifts that you have and work on your family and enjoy the material life around you. Enjoy your house, enjoy your gardens the best that you can. Kinkeep. This is about family ties. Prioritizing children. And somehow there's going to be a shared craft experience, perhaps. Okay, if you don't have family, what is it about then? It could be just about learning something from your history, a craft from your history that you liked when you were a child. What did you like to do? Did you like to make bracelets? Did you like to paint? Did you like to make tools? Did you play with dolls? I don't know. This makes me think of playing with dolls. Some sort of activity that you like to do as a kid that really put you in touch with an ancestral tradition. because we are like totally lacking on traditions. I mean, some more than others, but we always could learn to have more, because when we do practice our crafts and kind of think about what brings us joy and what feels good on a sensory level, it gives us strength and nourishment, because horsetail is full of minerals. It is so nourishing. It's a biodynamic fertilizer. This is the type of nourishment that will keep you sustained for a long time, for the whole winter, for the, for many months to come, because this is the 10 of Earths. So you are at a point where it's like you have available to you a lot of resources to keep you going forward. You can be nourished. Now just pick and choose how you want to be nourished. Hello, Pisces. Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon. All right, so we have the Explorer, the Devil, and the Bear. The Bear is about financial success. This is the CEO, big boss man. It could also be about being a mama bear, but whatever it is, you're a firm and knowledgeable mentor. There is a ruthless, slow-going achievement. Now, it always, in the most mundane level, is about financial success, for about business, power. There is a sense of intimidation that you could be putting off. You could be exercising your authority and strength. But in reality, the bear is a neutral energy. It's not a negative energy where you're like overpowering. I mean, there's a potential depending on the cards around it. But here I do see it as a neutral energy. It's like you're claiming your spot at the top of the food chain. And yeah, by acknowledging that you have a certain power or leadership role, you are playing into some sort of hierarchy, but it doesn't have to be that way. It could just be like, hey, I'm older now. I know a lot. Hey, I worked at my craft. Like, there's nothing wrong or shameful about being on the top of my field, whatever that is. It could be, I'm hearing for some of you, there could be an overbearing or protective energy around you. Like, on a totally different level, some of you might be working with overbearing parents, people who are overbearing, but you have the ability to set some boundaries and to step into your power. It might not be without a fight or some harsh situations, but you are called to step up and reclaim your energy and your natural authority as the top predator, okay? The only other predator that works with the bear is the wolves. The wolves come in the winter, the bears are asleep in the winter. So yeah, you do have to share power sometimes as a bear, but let's see what else we have here. The Explorer. To me, the Explorer is about taking a very observational bent. This is about gathering data. This is not about talking a lot or flaunting what you have. It's kind of in opposition to the bear, but in other ways it's not, because I see this as like a card of like forest bathing, of being in nature. Now, you don't have to really do that, but that's kind of the energy we have here. This person is out walking around, they're gathering data and being very observant. Now, just because I see this as a naturalist type of energy, it doesn't have to be. It just means that you are receptive to the sensory information around you. I think that if you're on a healing journey, this could be about listening to the body, or like observing your emotions and your dreams and the glimmers like we had with the energies for the month. There is a practice where you're going to go deeper and deeper into your practice as the month goes on. Like if you are doing like working with the felt sense, or you're working with the craft, or you're working with tarot, or you're working with your fitness, or working with family or something, or you're working on mundane things like cleaning your house, or working on your finances or budgeting, every day you're going to get a little bit deeper. You're going to gather more data about what's happening. And that's just where you are. And then with the Blackberry, the Devil, this, you need to prioritize yourself. Yeah, you need to be selfish right now. I feel like you've been putting your needs on the back burner for way too long. It could be that there's a part of you that you've been tabling for way too long. And it's calling to you to be like, hey, check me out. Listen to me. I have some needs. Desire is a human condition. We can't escape it. We just have to work with it. So you are called to know and understand your priorities. This could be about, obviously, another part of the devil could be that you are a little bit too much giving into your passions. There could be addictions, greeds, getting into debt, and getting into habits that are not good for you. It's like bad impulses and vices, all-consuming desires. That could be, I'm hearing for less than 10%. I'm thinking of this song by the Sundays. I'll link it below, where the singer says, like, I think it's something like, I know desire is a terrible thing, the worst that I can find. I know desire is a terrible thing, but I really don't mind because it's my life. And I need to do what I need to do. And so it's like welcoming what you want for yourself. Yeah, I'm feeling like there might be some boundaries that you need to awaken to stand up for yourself. And how you figure out these boundaries is by deep listening of like, what does your body want? Like, what does your life want? Look around you and be like, this is what I want for myself. And then this bear will help you get it. It's about you being the boss of your life. Yeah, I just keep hearing It's My Life from the Sunday song. Well, thanks for joining me today. I hope that there was some message in here that was useful. I'd love to hear about it if there was, or how you interpreted the cards, or like how it played out for you over the month. So generally, I kind of don't like tarot month ahead horoscopes because they only work for me if I apply myself to studying them and seeing how they work. You need to integrate the information in. And how I would recommend doing that is taking one piece of that little bit of horoscope for you and being like, that's the most important for me. So I'm going to give an example. I'll do Gemini. I was going to do Taurus, but I'm a Gemini, so I know exactly what I need to do. There's something I need to do for my work, and I need to make it formal. I don't want to, but I have this responsibility to tend to my work. That's it. That is what I'm going to write down in my planner, and that's what I'm going to go forward to. Now, if I want to go a little bit deeper in, I can, but honestly, that's it for me. It's like, dude, ask for what you are worth and get freaking paid. Because the highwayman is like, you can't pass unless you pay the fee. It's just the rule of the road, okay? So work on that work and make it official. Got it? Okay, that's how that works for me. I just love to hear how it works for you. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.